So for players, getting back to this again, decide you're going to be part of the story. And then instead of my character, why would my character do that? Instead of why would my character do that? There we go. Ask, how would my character do that? Ask yourself. Instead of asking the GM, why would my character do that? Ask yourself how your character would do that. It's up to you to do what your character does in the story. Own your character. The DM shouldn't be owning your character. Entrance. Start in a tavern. If you're just starting D&D, start in a tavern. Everyone knows what a tavern looks like. Yeah, Augie. Yeah, play the part. Be your character. You're in the story. Propel it forward. There's... So for anyone doing this, if you're a new GM or you're just starting out to do games, literally take that and that's your opening description. You start in a tavern. There's a shifty guy in the corner. Like, that's it. Everyone who just heard that pictured a tavern, and they pictured a shifty guy sitting in a corner. That's it. That's all you need. You start in a tavern, there's a shifty guy in the corner. That's your intro. You've just started a D&D game. And then if you want, I thought you forgot I existed. Yeah. And if you want to jump up from there, you can say, you know, you're all sitting around a table enjoying your food and drinks. And then for session 0, which is just everyone getting to know each other and getting used to the game, they pictured Lord of the Rings. Yeah, they did. That's exactly what they pictured. I guarantee you, the lighting was yellow. Everything was made of wood. The guy in the back had black robes, and you couldn't see their face. Like, that's all you need. Like, you're done. Don't make descriptions more complicated than you need to. I think the first time I ran a D&D game, I spent like 5 minutes reading like 2 pages of a thing that I'd prepared, and like halfway through, they already had questions. Like, details will come from the players. Yeah. But they did have a very intent look about them as they poured over a mysterious map. And that's, see, there you go. See? Combat, puzzle, mystery. There you go. That's the mystery. That's your first thing. You've already got 1 of 5 things down. You started the game. Start in a tavern. There's a shifty guy in the corner. There's a very intent look about him as he pours over a mysterious map. You know, and then your players are going to have questions. Don't write 2 pages of descriptions like I did, because after 4 or 5 sentences, they're going to have a question about something you said. They're either going to forget the question and pay attention to you very respectfully, or which you don't want because you don't want them to forget their questions, or they're going to try so hard to remember all their questions that by the time you get to the end, they won't actually remember the last like half of anything you've read. Or they're going to interrupt you and say, hey, I have a question. But for me, if I start simple, I tend to add a couple things here and there. So if I was doing this and I had in my notes, thing 1, tavern, shifty guy in corner, intently poring over a map, mysterious map, looking at mysterious map even. I would probably read that, say, you walk into the tavern, the tables are cluttered with leftover pieces of food and drinks. It's very busy, super packed. But you do notice one particularly shifty individual sitting in the corner, covered in black robes. Can't quite see his face, but he's very intently poring over what appears to be a mysterious map at the far end of the bar. Like, there's a walkthrough to that because I know that I need to say it's a tavern. I know I need to say that there's a shifty guy, and I know that I need to say that he's looking over a map. You have a setting, you have an interactable, you have something the players can interact with. I don't know why I need to try and make like a new term for that. There's a term, I just can't remember. And then you have an interesting object or a hook, right? There's something that you have said is mysterious. Yeah, a situation, I guess. So if you want a mystery, just say it's a mystery. There's a mysterious thing. The players don't have to wonder, oh, is that something we should look into? You've just told them it's mysterious. Use words like that all the time. Do it. Yeah, it might be easier for new DMs. Yeah, that's a good point. For new DMs, try third-person dialogue instead of acting it out. So you don't have to be so if Augie in the game walks up to this mysterious character, and you guys know that at some point in the game there's going to be a bar with a mysterious character pouring over a mysterious map. Yes, we've been talking about it so much now. As a new DM, I would probably, unless you're super comfortable with it, yeah, just say stuff like the man at the table tells you. If Augie were playing in my game, he walks up, says, "Hey, that map looks really interesting. What are you doing there?" You don't have to get into a voice and go, "Oh, this is none of your business. Get on my face." You're like, the man shrugs you off. He tells you that it's none of your business. That's it. And that actually, if you're not very confident or don't feel totally comfortable doing a lot of inflections and trying to be dynamic with your voice and all that stuff, saying what the voice is trying to convey or what you would be trying to convey can be much more effective. He shrugs you off. There you go. You've got the feel that inflection and voicing conveys, and then you've got it's none of your business. He tells you it's none of your business. He shrugs you off and tells you it's none of your business. That's it. I try to do voices and stuff like that because I feel like it's a little bit more immersive, but not always. Yeah, telling it like you would read a story. Yeah, when you're reading a book, you may, I don't know about you guys, I tend to make different voices for all the characters in books I'm reading, but I feel like most people probably don't do that. I don't know. But yeah, just like a book, it just says what they say and it describes how they say it without using inflection, right? Because it's reading. They just tell you. Tend to use perception or insight and stuff like that. I found when I start conveying the feelings of the characters, I get confused as a DM whether you should or shouldn't know something, and I hope it doesn't confuse you guys. As I say, like, if I said, he answers you nervously, or he looks nervous and says, it's none of your business. I'm worried, or I get worried about, oh, do they know that? Or, oh, do they think that that's important if I'm just adding flavor? I don't know. I tend to have difficulty with that. So you've got a thing. Wait for the players to interact with the stuff or ask questions. Yes. As players discuss things, the DM can plan the next move as well if he notices things are going in a different direction. Oh my gosh, that was literally the whole session last time we played. I was like, these are the things that I need to get to. And there were only a couple because it was session 0 and we only had 2 hours. But I was like, man, these are the things we need to get to. And as you guys are doing stuff, I'm like, okay, they're discussing these. I need to have some ideas. And as you guys continue to talk about it, like, I don't need to know every detail about all the stuff that you guys are talking about. You guys are usually just trying to pick up whatever the next line is, whatever you're going to do. So I just need to know where the major theme is going. Like, we're going to, as soon as you guys were like, interesting, I think I'm going to go sign up for that fight. I'm like, oh Lord. The entire next 30, 45 minutes of this session is going to be bar fights. All right. I need stats. I need names. I need ranks. I need to know, what do the people in the town think about these guys? Are they popular? Are they big guys? Are they champions? What is the atmosphere in the bar? Is the atmosphere in their bar going to change? Well, I knew it was going to change because it was calm with day drinkers at the time, and then we transitioned to an evening bar fight, right? So how are those things going to change? And you guys could talk all you wanted. I answered your questions, and that was it. I had already set the scene. I told you the characters that were around, and I told you the points of interaction, right? You had the bar, you had various patrons, you had the betting window, you had the sign-up window, and you had the band, right? Now, there just happened to be 5. It's not like a 5 things rule, but I mean, I gave you guys, you had those things, right? That's not too many things for me to keep my head around. I can act like a random bar patron who's been day drinking. Don't judge me. I had already established the personalities of the bard. I had already established the personality of the barkeep. And the betting window and the sign-up window were just static, right? They're just going to talk to a guy who wants to know, like, all right, are you fighting or not? All right, place your bet. Here's the odds, whatever. So I answered your questions and I planned. That's all I did. Once you set the scene, as long as you know that you've got your interactable pieces, you're good. Your players will take it from there. So let's see. In our example, we have, you started at a tavern, there's a shifty guy in the corner with a mysterious map. That's it. That's what you say. It's not any more complicated than you need it to. Your players have already inserted all furniture, possibly other patrons. Or if they don't, they'll say, are there other people here? How busy is it? And you can just go, if it's important, you probably have that as a note, but it probably isn't important. You say, there's a few people wandering in or out, or, oh, it's packed. There's leftover food and plates and mugs. They're being left behind faster than the bar staff can clean up. Right? You didn't need that right at the beginning. Let them get the pieces they need as they try to put it together. Just realized I didn't eat dinner. I hope you guys could not hear my stomach just then. So, you don't make your descriptions too complicated. Let your players fill the world a little bit with their questions. Then you wait. You've set your description and you wait. Your players are going to want to do something. You're going to have that one who goes, I go up to the bar and I order a drink. Or I walk up to the bar. Well, I mean, what's going to happen if a character walks up to a bar, right? Your job as a DM to let them do something, and then you tell them how the world reacted to what they did. I walked up to a bar. The barkeep sees you and says, hey, big fella, what are you in the mood for today? Right? Now you have an interaction, right? Do that for 30, 45 seconds. Move on to another player. Well, what are you doing? Pretty straightforward stuff. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to do things. The other issue you run into is giving them too many things to look at. If I had the characters walk into a tavern and described 6 different NPCs, one, you're gonna have to roleplay 6 NPCs because they're probably, at least one of your players is going to talk to each NPC. So, like, what's your name? My players love to ask about names. What's your name? What's your last name? What's your hobby? What was your nickname when you were a kid? Who's your best friend? Like, I don't know why you guys like doing that to me. And actually, if you watch an episode of Critical Role where with Matt Mercer, he's, you know, arguably one of the greatest DMs. You may think I mean, there are people that think he's ruining D&D forever, and I'm like, whatever. I don't know. But if you watch his games, he does this. The players walk into a situation. There's never really more than one or two things to interact with. Even when they're in a court and they're being tried and there's like 7 NPCs or 12 NPCs in one episode, the way that he sets it up, there's really only one thing they can interact with, or two things they can interact with. So they have themselves. What do I want to do? How do I feel? What am I thinking about? What is my character going through? And those one or two things. How am I going to interact with that or that? Right? Because as a DM, you might be thinking about those two things or all the other things going on in the background, but your players are also going to be taking a second and thinking about all the other things that they can do. I could turn and run. I could punch the guard. I could teleport out of here. I could dimension door. I could, like, there's more options than what you're thinking about when you're setting up the game. So don't overwhelm them. One or two per scene. One or two. So you set up that scene. Let's say the guy. You have to decide the guy. Maybe the guy. He stole the map from a traveling wizard. So maybe your shifty guy with the map got the map by stealing from a wandering enchanter or something, and it's a map to like a special shrine where they believe they can enchant something a little bit better, right? It's got some special properties. The shifty guy gets it. He steals it. He's a thief. He's like, it's none of your business, right? And then maybe your players will go, hey, I want to see, do I know anything about that map? Can I tell anything from what I saw? All right, roll some investigation, roll an insight, roll a history, roll a arcana, whatever you want to do for the map, right? Or roll perception probably is the default. And they find out some interesting stuff, right? There's a whole bunch of options right there. All you need is the setting and the interactable character and the reason why they might want to interact with that character. And then from there, we can decide, if I'm DMing this, I would say, I want the characters to get the map. That's what I want to happen in the story. I want the characters to get the map. Now they can get the guy drunk or drug him and steal the map, or they can take him outside and beat him up and steal it, or they can just beat him up right there in the bar and steal it and try and get away from the guards, like, whatever. If they don't do any of those things, maybe he notices how well off the characters are. Or he goes, hey, this map's not a lot of good to me. I've acquired it, but maybe you have more use for it. What would you give me? Right? Maybe he haggles with him and sells it to him. So they get the map. Thing 2 is the map. This is a mystery, right? Or a interesting object. The map is of the local countryside with a mark and you don't even have to say anything crazy beyond that. You just say with a mark about a day out. So they know they're going to have to travel to get to this mark on this map. At that point, maybe they're going to try and find more information on the map. Maybe they're going to try and go straight to where the map points, but you have your little description, right? And you just keep going from there. Keep going from there until you have 5 things. This will take 3 hours. And so remember, 1 or 2 interesting things to interact with per scene. Now I'll just do that. Wait for them to ask questions. There is no way you're going to say, you have an interesting... Message if you need help. Cool. Remember, 1 or 2 interesting things to interact with, and wait for them to ask questions. There is no way you're going to hand your characters a map. Say, it's a mysterious map. Okay, you bought the map from the dude. He sold you the map. You think he probably didn't get this honestly, right? You don't have to tell them right away, like, it's a map of this, and this is what it looks like. And they're going to be like, okay, what's on the map? Right? If you don't wait for them to ask questions, you're going to end up filling in so much for them that they're never going to think they need to ask questions. Or even if they don't consciously go, I don't need to ask questions, they're just not going to, because you haven't trained them to. In fact, you've trained them not to, because you keep telling them everything before they have a chance to wonder whether that thing's actually here or not, or wonder what's on the map, because you just keep telling them everything. Don't do that. Let them ask questions. Tell them what's there, let them ask questions about it. And then you also don't have to waste a lot of time prepping. That's the most frustrating part about being a new DM, is all this prep time that goes into it. And then at the end of the day, they decide that they weren't really interested in the map. It doesn't seem like the guy's really that interesting, actually, and they're going to go talk to the bartender and go, hey, have you heard any rumors? And then you're going to be like, well, dang it. I had all this dialogue planned, and I had, I drew the map, and I've got like a physical copy of the map, and it's amazing. And it's just, don't. As a starting DM, don't do it. It's not worth your time. And it's not worth your players' time either. Because you're going to be so flustered trying to think of, well, how can I still make this work, that you're not going to be making what the players are doing actually work. So don't do that. Just work with what the players do. Simple descriptions, general ideas, let them ask questions. They will take the game in interesting directions that you probably did not think of. And it'll be okay. Just have those 5 things. So that applies to whether you're doing one-shots or whether you're doing campaign design and you need to design each session at a time. Now, if you're doing a whole campaign, again, you look up here, not a good idea to plan an indefinite game. Games always end. Get yourself a plan to end. Oh, that's dumb. I need to go back and do this. Edit. Plan your own ending. Determine the number of sessions and the length of sessions with your players ahead of time. Any planning phases. So make sure you do that. With the players is pretty important, because if you decide, hey, I'm going to run a year-long campaign, and then no one wants to play because it's too long, like, what's the point? And by then you've probably, if you want to do it for you, you've probably already thought about, like, oh, it'll be this villain who's searching for this crazy artifact to put it all back together to end the world. And here, you got to find all these 7 things or whatever, right? You've already probably thought about all that, and it's just going to be a big waste of time, and it's going to be frustrating. Ask me how I know. Set a schedule and do not deviate, except for extreme circumstances. If Frank's mom gets in a car accident and he's got to go visit her in the hospital, or take her to the hospital, or something crazy, like you might move a game. Or, unless you're all going for moral support, play the game without him. Do not, as much as you can possibly, do not cancel games. And don't. It's better to cancel a game and then just pick it up on the next regular rotation than to say, okay, well, let's just play on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Because then next time they're going to be like, hey, I have this like soccer game I want to go to. Can we just do it on Thursday like we did last time or whatever? Don't do it. Don't start. These, D&D campaigns last a long time. There's a lot of opportunities to get it derailed. This is not one you want to play with. Just don't do it. Let your players know it's no disrespect, nothing against them if they can't make a session here or there. People are busy, especially, if you're adults playing. Like our game is once a month because we're all adults who are full-time workers and we have families, and we are playing another D&D game with some like younger people who are trying to get involved too. And we do that every 2 weeks. So stuff is busy. Set up a schedule. And don't deviate. That's the point of being a schedule. So, players are terrible at getting to resolutions. Do not trust them to do this for you. Plan your own ending. Determine the number of sessions and length of sessions with your players ahead of any planning phase. And then, what's the game about? Well, what are you even doing? And I'm going to copy this right here. Going to copy it again. Put it right there. So what's the game about? Your character, or your players will make characters that move the story forward if the player is really interested. So make sure that you talk about that with the players. For example, the game that we just started 2 weeks ago, that we're going to be doing once a month on the first Tuesday of every month, from 7 to 10 in California. I really wanted to run like a post-apocalyptic zombies have taken over the world and killed 80% of the people, and they're now zombies too. And there was like vampires ruling everything. My players did not want that. They were not interested. I was like, oh, okay, fine. So I decided, okay, let's talk about what you guys want. And we came up with the ideas. And what I did to satisfy myself was I said, okay, well, what would have happened if that whole plan that I wanted to run had taken its course and eventually got defeated? And that became the history of the world that my characters are now playing in. So to me, it was a little satisfying. It was kind of cool. And so that's the history of the world that we're in now, and I get to enjoy that and talk about it and how it impacted things. And every once in a while, it's now perfectly acceptable for me to throw in a lost vault or a lost cavern that's full of these undead things, because that's the history. And I get to run that stuff that I really am interested in and want to run, and my players don't feel like I don't care what they want, because I built everything else for them. Right? So do stuff like that as you're thinking about your campaign. If the players you're going to be playing with don't want to do the type of stuff that you want to do, there's ways to work it in. Don't fret too much. Design a game that everyone's going to enjoy, and move on. And so once we get to actual, how do we structure all this stuff? Well, campaign arc. Oh, I gotta put it in all caps so we know it's well, someone wants something and is having trouble getting it because of your players. I'll say that, because of your players. I won't say that. It's not necessarily true. And this isn't mine. I'll see if I can find a link here. There we go. I'm gonna put it right here. Someone wants something and is having trouble getting it. Come up with that sentence first. This can take you in all kinds of directions. And no, it's definitely not mine. I did not come up with that. Oh, go away there. Get out of here. But if you can get on board with this, and this can take you wherever you need to go. Someone wants something and is having trouble getting it. The barkeep at the local tavern for, level 1 through 3s wants some rare imported ale, but is having trouble getting it because the goblins keep attacking the caravan, so they won't send them anymore. Would you guys mind clearing out some of those goblins to make it safer so we can get those imported ales? Just think of anyone for appropriate to your character's level, whatever level you're running, and what might they want, and then why would that be hard to get? So you're running a level 5, right? Level 5 character starting out. There's a priest who wants, I don't know. There's a priest who wants to have more Sunday services, but he's having trouble because the local townspeople are part of another cult. He needs you to go defame that other cult. Whatever. Just find someone and figure out what do they want. Why would it be hard to get? I'll do one more example right off the top of my head because the last one was just stupid. Maybe. It's got potential. A local governor wants to expand his territory, but he's having trouble because the neighboring towns won't agree to his buyout terms. He wants you to go, he wants you to go rough them up and teach them if they don't listen, then you're going to really cause trouble. Or they need you to go as an emissary to help them out. So you go there and, hey, what do you guys need help with? We're trying to show goodwill, right? Like, someone wants something, they're having trouble getting it. Your players get involved to make it easier or make it harder. Maybe they are the trouble. The big bad guy wants to take over the town, and he's having trouble because your characters keep getting in the way and killing all of his henchmen. So that's a great sentence. And again, I didn't take it. Here's the attribution. Go look at that video. It's awesome. In any case, it's important if you're running games to understand why you care about it so much. And it's weird, I guess, for people to be like, I care about D&D so much. But for me, I do, because I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Like, D&D can be a lot of things, and not just D&D. It could be Pathfinder. It could be Fate Core, which is awesome. If you guys don't know what Fate Core is, go check it out. If you're having trouble generating stuff for your D&D game, you owe it to yourself to go play Fate Core. I say play Fate Core lightly. It's not. It's different. Look it up. It's fun. It's good stuff. It helps you get the creative juices flowing, and you can really kind of design a whole D&D game based off of what you do in Fate Core. But you know, D&D and whatever RPG, narrative RPG, and that's the important part, is it's the narrative RPG that makes it so special. There really isn't another game like it. I love playing Skyrim. I loved The Witcher even more. But as great as those games are, it never gets even close to coming up with a cool story and exploring things with real people that really have to process this information and think, okay, what does this actually mean? And getting that constant feedback as you're all crafting a story together. And this goes back up to this part here. Ask your players why they want to play. Like, you all want to be on the same page for this. If you're someone who uses D&D to express love of storytelling and the unique experience of coming up with something altogether, if you don't do this, it's gonna burn you out so bad. So do it. I do this every time. I do this even when I'm not running a game with these people. If I know, like, we play a lot. I have like a dozen friends that I play on and off with, who I GM for, and they GM for games that I play. And we talk about stuff like this all the time. Oh, why do you want to play this game? and the answers are valid as far as they are unique. It's I want to play because there are some days where I feel like I have zero control in my life, like everyone does sometimes, and I have zero, I have like I don't have a lot of confidence at work, or there's a new project or something like that, and like D&D is a place where you can express some of that stuff in a different way, and it's a lot better than drinking or doing drugs or whatever, right? Lots of different ways to express these things. So for some people, that's what D&D is, and for some people, it's just a way to express a lot of creativity that, like me, I'm not a great artist. I'm an okay musician, but it's a way for me to express a different kind of creativity. Like I love working with relationships and seeing how what not like romantic relationships or interpersonal, but heaven knows I'm terrible at those. But with there's this town, and I have to work with like the economic relationships between that town and like this larger piece here, and like I'm really interested in like Scandinavian history. Well, this gives me an opportunity to look at some of those things in a different way and play with them, and not just look at it but play with it. I can bring it in and put it into a game, and yeah, that's just kind of cool. You can explore things and talk about things that are difficult to talk about in real life. Like in one of my games I played, I had a town that was segregated. You had all elves and all humans separated. But what I wanted to explore with that town was these people liked it. That's what they wanted. They didn't hate each other. They chose to separate and be different. And it was really interesting for me to come up with that. Like, what would that look like? Because you don't see that today, right? Segregation is bad and racism is awful. And those things are true. But these type of games allow us to play out with real people, alternate realities, and you can learn things about what's going on with you and what's going on with the world if you do those things. And so I think there's some value there too. So again, talk with each other about why you're playing the game, not just about the story that you want to see, not just about like, oh, I want to play in a space setting. Like, that's cool. If you want to do that, do that. And if that's all you care about, fine, that's cool. But for some people, they want to explore some of those other things and want to go a little bit deeper. So do it. And sometimes it ends up happening when they didn't even intend it to. So be prepared for that as well. Oh, you know what? I didn't show off any of the stuff behind me. If you can see the art in the background, this side. Nope, this side. Those. There's another great streamer. Where is she at? It's I'm gonna butcher this. Bellatrix, except for the A is a 4 and there's 2 X's at the end. BELL4TRIXX. She did all that art for our other stream. It's amazing. They look good on the screen, but they look even better in real life. There's so much cool texture and depth to them, and the lighting effects are pretty sweet too. Anyways, go check that out if you go check out her stream. Well, that's the other thing. One more thing. If your players blow through all your content and make quick work, that's fine. That's totally fine. You know, a great 2-hour game is way better than a great 2-hour game followed by an hour of you making stuff up. Adios. Thanks for stopping by.